Hello everyone, I'm Chris, co-founder of Reorder, Medusa.js subscription engine. So Reorder is not just a set of admin screens, it's a full technical implementation. We have subscriptions, renewals, dunning, cancellation, retention, activity login, analytics. It's all inside of Medusa. If you've built with Medusa before, you know the hard part is not rendering a dashboard. The hard part is building a clean plugin architecture for recurring revenue without letting it turn into one-off business mess of logic. So that means solving for catching renewals before they fail silently, recovering revenue when payments break, giving your team a structured way to handle cancellations, and actually understanding what's happening across your subscription base. So in this video, I want to show you two things: the business workflows the plugin supports and the technical decisions behind them for everyone who wants to reuse these patterns in their own Medusa projects. So before we jump into operational workflows, let me show you how this store is set up and where subscriptions actually start. So on the storefront side, we forked the official Medusa Next.js starter template. We did not build a frontend from scratch. We took the Medusa starter, cloned it, and layered a subscription support on top. So now, before any subscription can go live, someone needs to configure which products are available for subscriptions and under what terms. This is what plans and offers is for. So let me open it up. You can see a list of configured products here. And each one has a set of allowed billing frequencies and the discount structure. This is essentially a catalog level configuration that makes subscribe and save possible. So let me open one of these to show you what the full plan offer looks like. Here we have the product and variant scope. So you can configure on the product level and the variant level or both. Then you have allowed frequencies: weekly, monthly, yearly. You define which ones are available for this product, and the customer will only see the options on the storefront. So for example, we can add the frequency another, not only monthly one, 6 months, we can also add 8 months. And then you have a discount per frequency. A monthly subscriber might get 10% off. A yearly subscriber gets 20% off. And this is a subscribe and save pricing model. And it lives here rather than its promotions or price list, because it is tied to the subscription's life cycle, not just the card. So for example, if we want to add a discount for 8 months with the 15% off, we can do that. And for example, for 6 months, let's give it up for 12%. You can also set offer rules, a minimum subscription period before the customer can cancel, a trial policy if you want to offer a trial window, and whenever this discount stacks with other promotions. So for example, we can add a trial which is 14 days. So let's save it and see on the front end what this looks like. So this is a Medusa sweatshirt for M. So this is the subscription we are taking care of. So let's take the select size M, and we can see that this subscription model has popped up. So let's take it, and we can see that every month, every 6 months, and every 8 months. And we can see that the 50% off, 12% off, and 10% off accordingly. So we can add it to cart. And then we can actually buy it. So this is how you get from a fork Medusa starter to the store where customers can actually subscribe. Now let me show you what happens once they do. So I want to start with analytics because this area shows a lot about how the plugin is structured. We are looking at subscription performance window from April 6 throughout April 15. You can see real subscription behavior here, like stable revenue from active subscribers, movement from plan changes, revenue recovered after failed payments, retention outcomes, and churn on specific days. So from a technical standpoint, this is one of the strongest parts of the implementation. Analytics is modeled as its own reporting domain and separate from the operational state. So that gives you a cleaner queries, more predictable KPI behavior, a clear separation between operations and reporting, a pattern you can reuse in other Medusa plugins, and the team needs to know where healthy revenue is coming from, which accounts are at risk, whenever churn is coming from billing issues or price pressure, and whenever recovery efforts are working. So that is the reporting surface. Now let's look at the operational domains that fit it. So now let's take a look at the main subscriptions area. So this is the core of the plugin. Every other workflow like renewals, dunning, retention, it all starts here. So what matters from a technical standpoint is the lifecycle model. We have different kind of statuses like active, paused, cancel effective, pending update, cadence changes. So these states look simple, but this is exactly where most recurring commerce implementations go wrong. So let me show you a few examples. For example, we have Emma. So Emma is a healthy active subscriber. She renews normally, nothing is unusual here. But for example, if we take Lucas, so Lucas is a pending force request. Instead of applying that it changes immediately, Reorder holds it for a review. Now that matters because plan changes affects renewals, analytics, and retention downstream. Making that state visible is a deliberate design choice. If we take a look at Michael, so we can see that Michael is paused for one cycle. He has too much product at home and he just needs a break. This is a very common subscription moment. Not every at-risk customer wants to cancel. Some just needs flexibility. And from the technical perspective, this is one of the strengths of Reorder. It gives you, the merchant, a way to keep the customer without forcing a binary choice between active and cancelled. So now let's move into renewals. So this area answers one key question. Are my scheduled renewals going through cleanly? And if not, where is the problem? So first, let's take a look at Emma. So Emma, as always, she is a clean success case. It shows what a normal renewal looks like. But more importantly, it shows that renewal handling is its own domain, not just an afterthought bolted onto orders. But for example, if we take a look at Ryan, so Ryan has a renewal failures in his history. And this matters because recurring systems need real operational context and not just a status badge. A good operator workflow is not just that something is broken. It is what failed, when it failed, whenever it happened before, and what should happen next. So let's take a look at Sophia. So Sophia shows policy-aware renewal behavior. She has a premium offer and a pending plan change, which creates a policy check before that renewal can forcing business rules that respect plan semantics, and it keeps that logic visible. So the renewal area shows a clear design principle. The success renewals stay simple, exceptions become visible, and policy conflicts do not get buried. So now we are in dunning, one of the most valuable parts of any subscription operation. A lot of lost recurring revenue comes from payment issues, not customers actually wanting to leave. And dunning is often where customer subscription implementations fall apart. So Reorder needs to separate four things: temporary payment failure, cases that need manual follow-up, successful recovery, and unrecovered churn. So let's first up take a look for Isabella. So she is in retry scheduled status after a payment decline. This is the daily queue your team needs to manage, and this is also a good example of a clean state machine with explicit retry scheduling. The value here is simple. Your team can see who is recoverable right now and act on it. And let's take a look at Ethan. So Ethan is waiting for a manual resolution because the bank requested customer authentication. Not every failed payment should be retried automatically. Some need support, some need the customer to take action. That distinction should be built into the domain, not just show it the UA message. So Reorder makes that distinction explicit, which helps teams avoid both wasted retries and missed recovery opportunities. And if we take a look at Ava, So Ava is one of the best records in the whole system because she tells a complete recovery story. There was a failed payment, the issue was resolved, the retry succeeded, and the account is in healthy lane again. So this is exactly what subscription merchants care about, a direct connection between an operational action and recovered revenue. For developers, it also shows how recovery outcomes can fit analytics and activity logs cleanly. So if we take a look at Noah, so this is an unrecovered case. Retries were exhausted and the payment method was never fixed. That contrast matters because it shows Reorder is not just logging failures, it models recoverability explicitly, and that is the difference between a useful recurring commerce system and just a table of payment errors. So now let's move into cancellation and retention. So most merchants do not want cancellation to be a dead end. They want a structured workflow, one that helps the team understand why customers are leaving and which safe paths are actually working. So for developers, this area is interesting because retention is treated as a first-class workflow and not an afterthought. So if we take a look at Grace, so Grace is a good example of retained revenue. She had a price objection, the team offered a discount, and that subscription was saved. The system is not just tracking churn here, it is helping the merchant reduce churn with explicit case states, reasons, and offer events, not vague notes. So now let's open Ben. So Ben did not need a discount. He needs a pause. So this is an important example because retention is not always about lowering price. Sometimes the right move is just giving the customer some flexibility. And technically that means that your domain model needs more than a simple cancel boolean. So now let's open Liam. Liam case connects cancellation review with billing problems and dunning, so that is very realistic. In real subscription operations, billing issues, churn risk, and save opportunities often overlap. They do not come in separate categories. So Reorder brings that context together so the operator has the full picture in one place, instead of chasing it across separate admin pages. So now let's take a look at Natalie. Natalie cancelled immediately after switching to another provider. And if we take a look at Jacob, Jacob chose to finish the current cycle before cancelling. So this comparison shows that Reorder does not treat cancellations as a simple generic state. It captures timing, reason, and business impact, which is exactly the kind of modeling discipline that matters when you are building this kind of a system. So this section is very easy to underestimate, but it becomes very valuable once a team is using the system every day. The activity log gives operators and managers a shared timeline of what happened. For example, if we take a look at what event types have succeeded, we can see that Emma is actually a customer which subscriptions was succeeded. For example, if we take a look at which events are paused, we can see that Michael shows a support-driven pause event. We can see actually also that the Ava shows a dunning recovery triggered by the system. So from a business standpoint, teams need this kind of auditability. They need to know what happened, who or what triggered it, what changed, and how the customer got to where they are now. For developers, this is also a useful pattern. Operational workflows are much easier to debug and support when the system produces a clear activity history, instead of leaving state transitions implicit. So stepping back, what Reorder is doing is giving Medusa developers a recurring commerce layer they do not have to build from scratch. The plugin ships with comprehensive documentation in our GitHub repository. So here we have a full list of every domain, subscriptions, renewals, dunning, cancellation, retention, analytics. It's all here documented. And you can also find a special NPM package that you can install yourself, and where the README gives you everything that you need to get started. And if you need help with Medusa e-commerce project or Reorder implementation, feel free to reach out to us through our contact form on our website or using this email here. Thank you very much.